There's something about being home alone that makes every sound, every creak, feel just a little off. Tonight, we will share with you 3 terrifying true stories of people who were alone in their homes. But they weren't as alone as they thought. These aren't campfire tales. These stories really happened. So grab a blanket, lock your doors, and make sure you're really alone. Let's dive into 3 scary true home alone horror stories. This first story comes from a 24-year-old woman named Jenna. She had just moved into a small rental house on the edge of town. Cozy little place with a big backyard, perfect for her dog, Max. Jenna lived alone, or at least she thought she did. At first, it was just little things. A bowl out of place, her TV remote missing, then turning up in the bathroom. She blamed it on being tired from work. Or maybe Max was playing tricks. But the feeling started to grow that someone was watching her. One night, she heard footsteps above her bedroom. Slow, heavy steps, like someone pacing. But her house didn't have a second floor, just a small attic. She had never bothered to check. She froze in bed. Max growling at the ceiling. The next morning, she called her landlord, who swore no one had access to the attic but her. Still, he offered to stop by and check. When he opened the attic, what they found was chilling. Blankets, empty food wrappers, a small camping lantern. Someone had been living up there. The landlord was as shocked as Jenna. He called the police immediately. When they investigated, they found fingerprints, lots of them, but no person. The scariest part, the attic had a direct crawl space that looked down into Jenna's bedroom through a tiny air vent. For weeks, someone had been watching her sleep. Police never caught the person, but Jenna moved out the next day, and she's never lived alone since. This next story happened to a 15-year-old boy named Marcus. His parents had gone out for a date night, and he was home with his little sister, Emily. They lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood, safe, friendly. Nothing ever really happened until that night. Around 9 p.m., Marcus was playing video games in the living room. Emily was upstairs, watching cartoons. Everything was normal, until the power cut out. At first, Marcus thought it was a fuse. But when he looked out the window, the rest of the neighborhood still had power. His house was the only one in darkness. That's when he saw it. A tall figure standing in the yard. Just standing, watching the house. He backed away from the window, heart pounding. Then the knocking started. Not at the front door, but the back. 3 slow knocks. Then silence. Then 3 more on the side window. He ran upstairs, grabbed Emily, and locked them in the bathroom. He called 911. As he was on the phone with the operator, he heard a loud crash. Glass shattering downstairs. Someone had broken in. Police arrived 7 minutes later. The back door was shattered. Whoever it was had gone, but they left something behind. A rusty crowbar on the living room floor, and a note scribbled on the wall in red marker. "You're lucky I changed my mind." They never caught the guy. Marcus still doesn't know what changed his mind. The final story is from a man named Eric, who had just gone through a rough breakup. He rented a small apartment in an older building. Quiet, cheap, nothing fancy. But from the first week, strange things started happening. At night, Eric would hear whispers coming from the vents. Faint at first, barely audible. He thought it was neighbors, but the walls were thick, and no one lived directly above or below him. One night, he decided to record the sounds. He left his phone recording overnight. The next morning, he played it back. Around 2:47 a.m., a whisper came through, clear as day. "Eric, wake up." He froze. He hadn't told anyone where he moved. He lived alone. No one should know his name. That night, he didn't sleep. Instead, he sat by the vent with a flashlight. Around 3 a.m., he heard it again. A whisper, then a laugh. Then footsteps, inside the walls. He grabbed a hammer and pried open the vent. Nothing. But behind the ductwork, he saw a dark space. A crawl space that stretched between the walls of the apartment units. He called the police. They found an old maintenance tunnel running between floors, used decades ago but supposedly sealed up. Inside, they found a sleeping bag, candy wrappers, a small notebook. And on the last page of that notebook, "He finally heard me." Eric moved out that same week. The building was later inspected, and the crawl space was completely sealed off. But no one knows who was living in the walls or for how long. Being home alone can be peaceful or terrifying. For Jenna, Marcus, and Eric, it was the latter. These stories remind us that sometimes the real horror isn't ghosts or monsters. It's the people hiding just out of sight. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And if you have a scary home alone story, drop it in the comments. We might just feature it in a future video. Stay safe, stay aware, and next time you're home alone, make sure you really are.